Welcome back to Marshall Remodel. This is the Mad County Build Series, and on today's show we're going to be talking about our hardwood flooring in the upstairs.
Yes, we're really excited to talk about this part of the project with you. We purchased our floors through reallycheapfloors.com, and it turned out to be a really exciting part of this build.
All right, so let's talk about the kind of floor we got. We have 3/4 inch white oak. That's the kind of floor that we had been looking for, and we searched high and low for some reasonably priced white oak, and that was not easy. But we came across reallycheapfloors.com, and they were kind enough to partner with us on this project. And let's talk about the type of flooring this is.
Sure.
The grade.
So when it comes to solid hardwood floors, they grade the wood based on like imperfections, color variations, things like that. So when that happens, they take, if something isn't considered perfect, they will take that portion out and they'll put it in different lots. Well, cabin grade is one of those lots. It's something that's going to have a lot of variation in the wood grain and the coloring. It's going to have some visible knots, things like that. So the quality of the flooring is not diminished at all because it's still solid hardwood flooring. It's just going to have a lot more variance than you would get if you purchase like a the best grade of the white oak. Yeah,
something more consistent. This has a lot of shorter pieces, but it also has a lot of longer pieces. There's wormholes, knots, but all those are filled and you can't tell at all. And we'll show you some close-ups through this. And honestly, we installed this and we had very, very little waste because there's so many different length of pieces that we were almost, a lot of times we were able to finish a row with a full piece.
Right.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in the show. Stick around to the end. We'll tell you about the price of this flooring, and we also have a discount code for you guys if you want to purchase this flooring through reallycheapfloors.com. So stay tuned till the end, and we're going to go through how I installed this, the problems, if there were any that I encountered, how I dealt with them, and we'll just show you the end product. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
Upstairs you can see I have all this temporary balcony down, which is a little bit scary, but it does give me an idea how amazing this spot is going to be. So I'm just snapping some chalk lines right now, making sure everything is square, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start along this edge right here with my bullnose, and then I'll work my way this way. My floor joists run this way, so I'm going to run my flooring perpendicular across, and I want to make sure when I go down the hallway I'm nice and square, and I'm squaring this corner. So I'm going to get my bullnose laid out and make sure that when I put my corner bullnose on that I'm all square, and when I run it that way it's going to work out perfect. One of the recommendations when you're using a cabin grade flooring, since you're going to have some boxes with more shorts, you want to open 3 to 4 boxes at a time, because one box could have a ton of shorts, but then another box could end up having a ton of longs, which was the case when we opened these boxes. All right, so we got a chalk line down here so I know where I need to be square to that hallway. And I've got my first bullnose pieces, which I've just face nailed through the top. Got my miter cut in the corner. And the first challenge we're going to have here along this edge is we have these duct vents. There's 2 of them, one here, one down there, and then we have an outlet. So this is my first challenge, which this actually lines up absolutely perfect. So you get lucky every once in a while. I'm just going to take some spline, put that in here, and then I can put that, hammer that together, and that'll be a nice tight joint, and that'll hold that down, and then I'll also nail this. But it's good to be lucky sometimes. Okay, so I measured the hallway, and the hallway is all even. So I measured out just a predetermined distance. I picked 16 inches, and I picked 2 points, and then I snapped a chalk line down through this room. So I know that my boards will be perfectly straight in this hall. So by doing that, I started in the corner, I got my 2 bullnose, made sure they were square, and then I measured from the edge of the bullnose to this line, and that's how I kept it straight and perpendicular with this line. So that's my starting point, and everything going forward should be square with this line through the hall. Here's my flooring nailer. And these are I think these are 2-inch staples that I'm using. They get nailed through this tongue. So I put a reversing spline in here. I gotta get my air compressor in here. I haven't fastened these down yet. I'll probably get all these set all the way down along, and then I'll get my air compressor in, and we'll start nailing these as we go. So the hardest part about starting a floor, any kind of floor, is getting that first piece, that first row perfectly square the way you want it. But once you got that, you just keep snapping chalk lines, and you can measure to that, and you can make sure you're staying nice and square as you go along. So you can see there's just some shorts, a lot of shorts, but there are some long pieces in this too. So one thing they told us is that you want to open several boxes at a time, because one box might have a ton of shorts and another box might have a lot of long. So if you look at this is all came out of a box, a lot more shorts than long ones. But then you come over here to this box and you have a lot longer boards. I mean, those are probably 4 to 6 feet. Those are 4-footers. So there is some variation in the length from box to box, but I'm really happy so far with the way it's going down. And I'll tell you this, I have yet to have to cut one of my end boards. I'm able to find, there's so many different sizes that I'm able to find one that just fits in almost perfect. So I'm sure that won't be like that the whole time, but kind of our plan is when we get to the rooms, all the real short ones we're gonna save for all the closets. Where we have cabinetry, we'll put a lot of the shorter ones, because you're never gonna see them, and that'll minimize the amount of real small ones out here in the floor. But as we go through this, we'll share anything we find out, but we've got a decent start. I gotta move some boards back and put some more paper down. I'm about to the hall, and we're just gonna keep plugging away. Hopefully this week I can get this all done. My dad's coming up, Emily's helping, so we should make pretty good progress today. All right, so we're making this transition down from the loft area into the hallway. So we have our board notched around here, and then basically we have an 1 3/4 piece along here. This is not secured yet. I have a chalk line right here that I've measured to make sure this is straight. Now I'm going to, since I got this where I want it, I'm going to screw this block to the floor to hold this so I can nail this one, and then I'll just face nail this inside piece at the edge. So, and we're also gonna have to reverse spline here to go that way into this laundry room. All right, guys. So with this cabin grade, like I said, you're gonna have more shorts. So what I've been doing, we opened one box that had just a ton of longs, like 6-foot boards. So anywhere I have several shorts in a row, I'm trying to overlap a longer one to kind of tie a bunch of those together, because I will tell you this, you can get off or out of square quicker with short ones than you can long. If you run a long one, that kind of helps you fix anything that's maybe off just a little bit. All right, we're working along. We moved a bunch of the wood over here now that we're getting to the second half of this. It's looking pretty good. But we're getting to this corner here, and we want to make sure this is square. So we know we're good in square along here. So as we get to this corner, you can use the Pythagorean theorem, or they call it the 3, 4, 5 method. So what I did is I just took, if you take 3, 4, and 5, and multiply it by the same number. So I picked 8 just because that gave me a little more distance. So 3 times 8 is 24. I made a mark. So that's side 1. Side 2, I multiply 8 times 4, which is 32. So that's side 2, and then this angle across, if I'm square, should be 8 times 5, which is 40. Dad, will you hold that on that line? Yep. So he'll hold, my dad will hold that on that 3, where it intersects the wood. So he's holding it where it intersects the 3 side, this is the 4 side, and the 5 side should be 40. Which it's hard to see here, but 40 lines up right with that mark, if you can see that. So that means that this corner right here is square. So got this fastened down, this fastened down. I have this tacked on both ends, just in case I have to adjust it at all, which I shouldn't. And then when we work around this corner, we'll get all that fastened down permanently. All right, so we have this little piece nailed in place, but because it's just a little one, I want to go ahead and I'm going to take some cabinet trim screws, and I'm going to screw through this piece into this bullnose just to give that a little more stability, because people are going to be going up and down this multiple times a day. So I already have one in. I'm going to put a couple more here, and then a couple more along this spot. As long as you got a couple left, that's fine. All right, now that we're getting so close to the wall, our flooring nailer won't fit in here because the wall's in the way. So I use my trim nailer, and then I just alternate the nails back. One back this way, one that way, so on and so forth. Doing all right down there, buddy?
Yep. Tap it this way a little bit.
Alright, so we're done with the main loft area and we're coming down the hall. And our tongue is on this side, which is where you nail through. So I blocked it here with a 2x4 screwed to the floor. That gives me something solid, so when I nailed this board couldn't move. And then I snapped a chalk line off this down to the end of the hall to this T. So it goes that way, that way. And then just to verify that this line is square, I measured from here down to that door jamb, and from here down to that door jamb, and I'm square. It's exact same measurement. So now I got this piece cut, notched around the corner. That will go right there, and all I have to do is line it up with this chalk line, which you can see right there. So I just line the edge of the tongue, and then we have our next piece to finish the hall lined up. Alright, so before we go to nail this, because if you go to nail this with the flooring stapler, it's going to move. I'm going to get a 2x4 and block this, screw it to the floor and block it. Then I can just nail it with the nailer. And then I can work that way down the hall, hit that room down there. And then when I come back down here and head that way, I'll have to use a reversing strip to head that way. And then it'll be the same thing when we get to a room. We'll have to go into the room, snap a chalk line, go all the way across, block it, go the way we can go with the tongue, and then reverse it and go the opposite way. So once I get half a room done, I'll take all the boards or boxes that are over here, move them to the other side, and then I keep working. But talking about this cabin grade flooring where you have shorts, I've incorporated a lot of the shorts into the hallway, which I think looks really good. Use some of the longer boards here in the bedrooms where you're going to see. And then I'm going to use a lot of the shorts in the closets where nobody's ever going to see. But honestly, I've just kind of staggered and kind of spread out all the boards, and it looks really, really good. I'm actually shocked at how awesome it looks. The variation in the grain, the knots, the color, we really love it. So we're going to keep plugging away here. Goal is to get this room done today, and then I'll have 3 bedrooms left and part of the hallway, which hopefully I can do in another day. But this is a lot of work, a lot of cutting. All right, so we've come in to this room, and I take a long piece, I've notched there, came across, notched around here. But what we've noticed is when you notch these boards, it kind of lets that board spring. It kind of, whichever way that grain is going, it kind of forces that board. So we've snapped the line all the way across. We've matched our measurements up that way and that way with this down here, so we know we're square. So we got our block, and to show you how this board is kind of sprung, you can see it's like almost off 1/4 inch, but you can easily push it back into place. So we put this block here in the floor, so when we nail it, these nailers have a lot of force, so it won't knock it out of square the opposite way. So we're just gonna keep putting boards in across to nail up against, and we'll be measuring off this line so we're nice and square.
Every once in a while, for whatever reason, we get a couple boards that just didn't seem to match up, and it would create a little gap that I just didn't like. So I would take my belt sander and just even the top edge of those two boards up with just a little light sanding. It actually worked really well and just evened that gap up the way I wanted it.
All right guys, so now that we have this installed, you can see that it went in overall really, really well. There was a few things that we had to deal with, but it wasn't a big deal. And I mean, those are things you have to deal with in any floor installation, at least for my experience installing hardwood floor. So how much is this flooring from reallycheapfloors.com?
So wood floor prices are obviously going to fluctuate here and there, but this one tends to be under $3 a square foot. Which is a tremendous deal if you guys have ever been shopping for solid hardwood flooring. Thankfully, reallycheapfloors.com has extended a discount to our audience. It's 5% off any of their cabin grade products. So not only are you going to get an inexpensive floor just right off the bat, but you're also going to get a great discount.
And a really quality floor.
Yes.
And you know, obviously this is a style of flooring that we like. I don't like the real consistent looking floor because it shows any imperfection. This is awesome because it has a lot of variation, a lot of knots, just a lot of character that goes with the type of home that we're building.
Yes, so it's going to be a good product to use if you want something that's really high quality that you're going to be able to keep in your home, but you might have pets, you have kids, you've got high traffic areas. So I would 100% do this floor again.
Yes, and I would be hard pressed to get floors from somewhere else with as cheap as these are.
Yeah.
Not cheap in grade, but cheap in
right.
price.
Just to know that the quality is still there, but that you can really save a lot of money. And these can be refinished over and over again. So you're not, down the road, if you do have a lot of scuffs and stuff and you want to take those out, it's a possibility.
Sounds good. Well, we appreciate you guys watching. And as always, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and we will catch you on the next video.